Bob here, Chopper Bob Customs, and it's back! The 58 DelRay. The 58 DelRay left my shop for a short period of time, and now it has returned. I actually did shoot a video that I haven't posted yet, because I'm not exactly sure what I wanted to do with it. I basically showed how easily this thing starts with the Phytech. I mean, you get in it, you turn the key to the on position, you listen for the fuel pump. When the fuel pump quits running, you turn the key, this puppy fires right up. That being said, I had a difficult time getting the IAC set correctly. We speculated that that was in part due to the fact that it still had open headers, and on the O2 sensor, I probably had a leak around the gasket on the O2 sensor, and it only had about 18 inches of pipe after the sensor, and it was probably a little bit too far away from the collector. That all being the case, and then in addition to that, the customer had called up Hedman headers to check to see if these particular headers would work with angle plug heads, and Hedman assured him that they would fit angle plug heads without a problem. I don't know whether there's an issue with Hedman or whether they just didn't understand that these are Edelbrock aluminum angle plug heads, but they were tight. The engine builder put some dimples in the tubes, and he put the shorty plugs in it, and he thought he had it all figured out. When we started the engine up, I think the pipes moved around a little bit, and number 3 basically burned through the boot and started grounding out. So we were getting some bad information to the computer on the Phytech, so it was very difficult to get it set correctly. As far as running goes, it actually ran pretty good, and you can tell it was trying to learn, but then it would get a bad signal on the O2 sensor, or that plug started grounding out, and it was difficult to set up. So that's one of the reasons why it's back. The real reason for this video is this door right here. The window does not roll up all the way. And so in this video, I'm going to tear this door apart and replace the lower glass channel and put it back together. And we'll get into that when we get there. Now I'm going to go through some of the reasons why the car is back here besides the Phytech. And if you don't want to watch all that, just fast forward to the window channel. I'll put the time somewhere about right here so that you can go forward to that time and watch the window installation. If that's all you want to watch on this video, that's fine. While I'm talking about you watching this, thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe now. Hit the notification bell so that you're notified when new videos pop up on my channel. And then like and comment. I love to hear from you guys. I like being liked. And so subscribe, notifications, like, comment. And like I said, I appreciate you guys watching the video. That being said, let me run through a few things here on why the car is back besides this window, and then we'll get started on the window. Okay, so item 1 is this fan. This is a Spall fan. Spall makes a good fan, but it's only rated at about 2,050, something like that, CFM. And the car runs just a little on the hot side, so what we were thinking was the Flex-Lite with the wave technology on the fan blades might be a better choice. It's rated at 3,000 CFM, so nearly a 50% increase in airflow. I think will help this a lot. The problem that I had with it is I've put those Flex-Lite 3,000 CFMs in before, and the last one I put in was on a that 39 Ford Carson Top job, and I got it from Summit, and Summit has this great thing where you can go in and check your orders to see what you've purchased, so that if you've purchased something in the past you can go in there and you go, oh yeah, that's what I bought, so you don't have to do a bunch of hunting around to find the same thing again. And then they have this button that says, boom, order again. And so I thought, well, man, I love that fan, I'm just going to order it again. And so I ordered it again, and it got here, and I looked at it, and I realized that the 39 Ford was set up as a pusher fan because I did not have room for a puller. Pullers are a lot more efficient, and of course this one is set up as a puller, and unlike some of the less expensive fans, the Flexolite is dedicated either pusher or puller. So I've had to send it back to Summit. They have a great return program. I can't fault them for that. This was all on me. I should have been thinking when I said ordered again. What I should have done was looked at the part number and gone and found the puller number, which is 1 digit off of the pusher number. It's all on me, but I got another fan coming. So as soon as it gets here, I'll probably have to do a little bit of modification to the bolt holes, but other than that, I'll have to put the MetroPack pigtail on it, and it'll be ready to go. So that's one thing that it's in the shop for right now. The other thing that we ran into some little issues when we were doing the car. One of them, these hoses, the AC hoses, when the car came in here, it was holding pressure. It wasn't holding full pressure, but it was holding pressure. And so, and basically the hoses were like about a year old, so they were in really good shape. And they were really, really long. So I simply cut them off and had the local Napa sell some new ends and crimp them on. And I thought we were in good shape. Well, come to find out that I don't think they crimped the original ends very well. And we've got a leak right here on this one right here. This is the original end. And I don't know whether you can see that or not. It is spitting out oil. The thing is, it was dry. It did not have any oil residue on the outside of the hoses, and they had oil in them, and like I said, it was under pressure. It's just one of those things, you know, like I said, I was trying to help the customer save a little bit of money, and it turns out that we needed to, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 3 new hoses made for it. So I got that to do. And then I needed to set the IAC, but what happened was when he came, he went up and he got exhaust put on the car. So it's got Steve up at More Power Muffler, did a beautiful job putting 2.5-inch exhaust all the way out the back on this car. And these X-frames can be a bit of a challenge, particularly when you get around the rear wheels. Steve did a beautiful job. The customer wanted specific mufflers on it. The mufflers are called neighbor haters, and it's pretty much almost like not having mufflers at all, but they're on there. And then he's got some big black tips on the thing. So it's a really cool exhaust system. It's probably a little louder than I would like, but it's on there. We're all set to go. So he brings it back to me to get the fan, the AC lines, and the IAC set and that window fixed, and pulls in the yard and it dies. And we started doing some diagnosis on it, and the fuse on the Phytech fuse panel blew. And when I say it blew, I mean it blew. It came out of there in pieces. It melded the housing. I called Phytech, talked to their tech guy, had a great conversation with him, very helpful. We discussed what I found when the fuse was blown. Not only did the fuel pump not run, which it was the fuel pump fuse, but the fan didn't run. Now I traced the wiring on all of this. There was no damage to any of the wiring, and when I put a fuse in it, the fuel pump worked. And the fan started working again. He said, well, the fan should have been completely excluded from that circuit. And so he's thinking that there's probably a short inside that fuse panel. And so the purchaser of this was the engine builder. And so he is going to be going to Phytech or where he bought it from and see about getting this taken care of on warranty. Phytech's got a 3-year warranty on their stuff. To date, this is the first time I've ever had to use it. It's nice to know you got 3 years coverage out there on this. It's also nice to know that the product usually doesn't need it, but if you need it, they're there to take care of you. So at any rate, we're going to have to replace that fuse panel, and that's basically 3, they're not Metro Pack, I think they're the Deutsch ones, but basically it'll come already pre-wired. All I have to do is disconnect the three connections and then the 2 bolts that hold it in place and swap this out, and we should be back to good to go. Anyway, with that, let's come around to the side of the car and I'll show you the reason we've got to do this window. And I'm hoping you can see this. There is a gap right there. The window does not roll up all the way at the front. At the back, it does roll all the way up to the top. And what has happened is it has a broken lower glass channel inside the door. I've taken it apart and looked at it and identified it as being broken. And I went to, I'll tell you what, you can find stuff for the Impalas, the hardtops in the 58, but the 2-door sedans are a little bit tough. And I found a place, I think it's Auto City Classics. I'll put the link down in the notes. And they do carry parts for the 58. From what I found, like a lot of stuff on this 58, it's 1-year only stuff. The interesting thing about this is this fits the 58 2-door sedan, driver's side, left-hand front, and it also fits the 58 Pontiac 2-door sedan, driver's side, left-hand front. So I don't know whether any of you guys out there got Pontiacs, but basically I'm going to get this installed today. I think I have glass setting tape that's thick enough for this, but we'll find out. Anyway, with that, I'm going to put this back on the tripod and start taking this door apart. Okay, so real quick, let's go over what we need for this project. We need a Phillips screwdriver. We need a straight blade screwdriver. If this were unmolested, we probably could get by without the straight blade screwdriver, but I think they've put some straight bladed screws in here. You need a door handle removal tool, and you need a door panel removal tool. And I'll show you how these are used real quick. First thing you need to do is take off the garnish moldings, and you unscrew the door lock. You take the screws out of the lower garnish molding here. And I'm just going to speed all this up. Okay, so remove this garnish molding for the main glass. Remove the garnish molding around the vent wing, and if you notice, I took a razor blade because they have glued the rubber to the garnish molding, so I had to get it cleared out of there so it would come out. The other thing about this is we knew the car was green before, and when I took the garnish molding off here, we can still see the original like Cully green paint. So now what we need to do is we need to remove the handles, and that's what this tool is. And I may have to get a different one than this one. This one's been modified for another car. But basically what it does is it goes in there and catches the spring clip and pushes it off of the end of the handle. So let me see if I can get these off, and then I'll show you how it works when I get it off. It's a lot easier to see when it's off the car. And I'm going to have to get the other one. Okay, as you can see, sometimes they can be a little bit fiddly. But eventually they all come off. Let me pull in here tight and I'll show you what goes on with these. Okay, so what you got is you've got this spring clip right here that pops down in here like that. Okay, and then this is your escutcheon that protects the interior. This car has two of them, it's missing one, and you got to get the tool in between that protective plastic and the handle, and you slide it in like that, and what it does is it makes contact with the ears of that spring clip and shoves it off. And that spring clip, if you look in there, I think you can see it, basically it has the two little nubs that are sticking inside that hole, and what that does is that falls in behind a groove that's behind the splines on the door handle, the window regulator, and the window regulator. So you have to have a tool like this to get them at. You can come in on the back side right here if you have a very small pick, and if you're very lucky, you can reach in there and grab it and pull it off. But this tool right here is invaluable for getting them apart. And it takes a little bit of practice and sometimes just a little bit of luck. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to take this door panel off. And I know for a fact that this car has the plastic Christmas tree type clips on it. Normally a 58 Chevy, I believe, would have come with the wire metal Vaco, I think that's how you pronounce it, clips. Either way, use this tool right here to slide around the clip, and then that applies even pressure on either side of the clip to pry it away from the door. When they get some age to them, particularly if you've still got the cardboard ones, they're very difficult to get apart without damaging them. I'll just tell you that. If you're not using this tool, you're probably going to need a new door card. Even when you use this tool on an old cardboard backed door panel, you may end up damaging it to the point where you can't reuse it. You need to be aware of that. But if you take your time, generally you can get it off without doing too much damage. Now, I've been in here before, and this door panel is not correct, and that's part of the reason why I think we've got all this fluffiness going on here, is that what they've done is they've taken the Lowe's or Home Depot fiberglass panel, the real thin stuff that's pebbly on one side, and they've made the door panels for this. And there's just no body to this at all. I mean, it's just, but it is what it is, and we want to preserve it as best we can, because right now, I mean, interior work is expensive, and we don't know whether this customer is in the market for putting a new interior in the car or not. But what you do is you come in here and you slide this along until you hit the mount, and then you drop down and come back up to where you're on either side of it. You can't move this side to side now. And then you take and you very carefully give it a pull out, and that pop tells you that it's released from the door. And then you come around to the next one, and I know for a fact that all the ones along the bottom here are in such bad shape that they are not attached. So I'm only going to be working the sides on this car. There's a couple close to the corners on the bottom. That right there is what I was talking about, the plastic Christmas tree style of clip that goes on the door panel. But and there you can see that pebbly stuff that they built this door panel out of, which doesn't really have any stiffness to it at all. At any rate. So, with that out, I'll put this carefully out of the way so it doesn't get damaged. Now with the clip removed, I can go ahead and pop this onto the window regulator and we'll roll the window down. And okay, because the window is obviously a rectangle, and when you try and rotate a rectangle like this, the distance from this corner to this corner is greater than the distance from here to here. You can't roll that window out of there that way. And so the way to do this correctly is to take this vent wing out of here. And that's why I took this upper garnish molding off of here. I'm going to have to be very careful, because the reason I'm having to replace this is, and I'm trying to remember which ones, I think this is the back one. What's happened is that this piece right here has broke off of the window channel. And what they did when they put this together, the roller mechanism is supposed to go right in here. And what they did was they set the channel down on that roller mechanism, and then they used this to keep the glass over against the regulator mechanism to keep it in place. Well, what that did essentially was it lifted up the stop that prevents the window from going up any higher than it goes, and it allowed the window to sit basically crooked because they had to lift the back of the window up to go on that roller mechanism. And so that would not allow the front of the window to come all the way up. And that's why we had the gap up here. And so that's why this needs to be replaced. The truth of the matter is, if you can find these, and that was the big challenge on this 58 sedan, two-door sedan, is that sometimes if you don't have a popular car, they're hard to find. But to be honest, it wouldn't be that hard to have fixed this one. But for, I think this was like 40 bucks, 45 bucks, and it's brand spanking new. And you don't have to worry about welds interfering with the glass. You don't have to worry about having a crack form on the glass because you got a weld that you didn't catch, or a dingle ball from the weld, spatter. It's just one of those things where you go out and you buy a new one if at all possible. Anyway, enough preaching. Let me go ahead and start seeing about taking this apart. Okay, so with that, I'll take this over and set it up on the bench, and we will see about reassembling this with the fresh window channel. It was broke at both ends. There's no way this should have gone back together the way that they did. I'm over here on this welding table. Got bubble wrap padding underneath the glass to protect it. Repositioned the fan because it is hot here today. And I've figured out exactly where this is going to go. I've put little tick marks where the original ones stop on the ends. You got a little bit of wiggle room because what this attaches to actually slides back and forth. But you want it as close as you can possibly get it. And so with that, we're going to try and get this old channel off of here. Once I got in here, I realized that basically moisture had been collecting down in the bottom here, and it rusted out the resistance welds that are supposed to hold those tabs on there. That's a common occurrence on older cars. But usually what I try and do is just gently work the old channel off. And usually a few wraps of a dead blow on a piece of wood will tend to get it moving. Doesn't seem to be the case on this one. Generally have to break both sides of the seal. Okay, so this is glass setting tape. This is 1/16 of an inch, and I'm hoping that 1/16 of an inch is thick enough. We're going to give it a try. If it's not, I'll probably have to go get some because I think I'm out of the other thicknesses. We know which way it goes on there. We know where our tick marks are. We set the glass up on edge. This is sort of where it starts to get exciting. And 1/16 is not good enough. So I'm going to have to get some thicker glass setting tape. All right. Okay, a little bit of research, a little bit of homework, a little bit of tweaking, and I think if I've done this correctly, I think we'll be in good shape. Okay, so what I did was I measured the ID of the channel, I measured the OD of the glass, subtracted well, no, not the OD, the thickness of the glass from the inside dimension of the channel, subtracted the thickness of the glass from the inside dimension of the channel, divided that by 2, and what I came up with was 0.65. Now, so 1/16 inch tape is only 2.5 thousandths. You split that on either side, that's 5 thousandths of an inch that I was off. So I did two things. One, I took a pair of channel locks and I just went down the length of the channel and gave it a slight squeeze. The thing is, you want this snug enough that it's not going to come off, but you don't want it so tight that you have to pound it on. Then the other thing that I did was I ran a strip of friction tape down one side of the glass so that it gave me a little bit of a shim. And what that did was that gave me just tight enough of a fit that this is going to work. And I've got just past the edge there. So basically, you don't want to have metal sticking out with no tape underneath of it. I came close down here at this one, but it's in good shape. So make sure you get this all the way down, and you got to be really ginger with it. I mean, and when I was a teenager, I worked in a hardware store, and that's where I learned that glass is psychotic. I could take glass in the scrap bin and take a claw hammer to it and beat on it and not get the stuff to break, because we had to break it up for the scrap. But then when I was carrying a customer's piece up the stairs, if I bumped the corner of it, it would shatter into a million pieces in my hand. So glass is just one of those things that you're just never really sure what you're going to get when you start working on it. But with that said, I think I've got a good snug fit, and then of course this will kind of set up as time goes on. But what you want to do now is you want to come along in here and right along the edge, you just want to trim it up. This is what I was talking about on the fact that it kind of adjusts from side to side. Okay, no gap, fixed the problem. Hopefully I got some Black Death someplace over there. Adhesive, weather strip adhesive. I'll have to glue this back up in place and do a little bit of touch up here. But there, we've got it done. And the window rolls up and down good, and there's no more gap. So no more rain getting in, no more bugs getting in. Once again, please subscribe, please like, please comment, please set that notification, and stay tuned for more Chopper Bob Customs. For now, Chopper Bob out.